this is a man who is telling Igbo people to take up arms against Yoruba people in Lagos. Again, when we speak like this, yes, we are measured, we hold back and things, but it's not because there is a particular agenda against a particular ethnic group. It's because there is a pattern. And I'm hoping that people that thrive in gaslighting their folks would not think they can do that to us. Take a listen to this fantastic person who is telling the Ibos what they should do in Lagos. Take a listen.
Right. To the land with the last blood. It's better you people rise, stop this here nonsense. Ibos who live in Lagos, open your eyes. Don't sleep with your two eyes. And when somebody push you, push back. You people should come together now. When they are shouting, Ibos must go. Plan how you defend yourself. Plan how you defend your property. Plan how you throw them inside lagoon. First of all, when he started, go straight to Oba, throw him inside the lagoon. Burn down Lagos. If they want to, if they will started this nonsense. Eh? What is wrong with you? See me see trouble. We came to Lagos to build Lagos. Lagos is full of water. Or the make Louis Ojubude, people, all of them, they come to build Lagos. After all, Lagos belong to the first power of Lagos is from Benin. Now you are coming to claim what you don't have. Why are you claiming what you don't have? You are claiming what you don't have, and you can't give what you don't have. Who said Lagos belong to you? Enough is enough. Stop waking the lion, sleeping lion. Stop calling our name. The man through all this nonsense he is sharing in social media and the one year people. I'm calling the elders. Elders, rise up. You can't be elders and this is moving around. Who is Sanwo-Olu? Who is Sanwo-Olu? This is an imbecile. Call himself Sanwo-Olu. Very wicked human being. Whatever you will do against Ibos will come back to you, hurt you. If it didn't hurt you, it will hurt your children, your generation. He said.
For those who say it's not everybody, of course it's not every Igbo person that thinks like this. Of course it's not every Igbo person who thinks like this. Yes. But guess what? How many people have you seen speak against what he's speaking on? How many people have you seen trying to correct him on social media? How many of his governors have you heard speak? Have you heard anything from Ezekwesili? How about Peter Obi, who is always talking about everything that he sees on social media? Have you seen anybody from the East actually correct the person? What does that tell you? It's not an issue of everybody. No, I don't think everybody is like that. But I think people who would not correct their own when it's wrong are people who don't mind the person doing what they're doing because in their mind, the person is not really wrong. And if what he's saying works out, they will benefit from it. That's the point. It's not to say that, oh, everybody from the East. Of course not. You can't think like that. But let's not deceive ourselves. If you are not speaking against it, you're part of it. And that's where the real issue is. This one goes on social media, calling the governor of Lagos State an imbecile. If you call Sanwo-Olu an imbecile, what are you going to call your own governors? Because if an imbecile is doing all this, maybe you need to graduate to having imbeciles in your government place. Somebody says, how about Ijele? Okay. Give me 5 people from your region, 5, who are speaking on that. And who your people are not going against. En masse. So you have mentioned one person, and you're right. So again, give me the names of those people who your people are not going against en masse. So in other words, even the person you are mentioning right now, who, by the way, is one of those who will speak against them, one of the very few. What do your people do to that one? In other words, he's standing out, but your people are still telling him to shut up because somehow they don't want they don't want any accountability. They don't want you to say this person is wrong. And so there's something, I don't have anything about demonizing people. Truth Matter used to come here. He's Igbo. He will speak. I'll let him speak. I don't agree with him every time, but at least he's not joining the bandwagon. But the question is this: what do majority of the Ibos say to people like that? The very few ones who dare to speak up, what do the majority of their own people say to them? They tell them to shut up. You can't hide behind those ones. But you see, it's not his fault. The clown who just spoke is supposed to be an elder, but age doesn't confer wisdom. Person can be 80, has grown old, but hasn't grown up. This one is a baby. That imbecile who was calling the governor, I think he might need some time at the hospital. Maybe that's actually what he is. I said maybe, right? But here's the issue. I don't think it's his fault. Now we mess up. How? I'll play you 2 videos. Then I want you to judge. This one is from Yoruba elders in 1917. The next video you're going to hear will be from folks in Port Harcourt. Take a listen to the guys, to our Yoruba elders.
The Ibos will be your brothers after this war. We like them. They are still Nigerians. We want them. That's why we are fighting for unity.
Do you think they will like you so much, though, after all this?
I can say that we know that we like them.
Do you feel it will be easy to integrate them in Nigeria now?
They are already Nigerians.
What?
They are already Nigerians. We never dispute them.
Well, they disputed it, though, didn't they?
No, they didn't dispute.
Well,
They were misled.
Well, they set up a country of their own, called it Biafra.
They were misled, not that they...
Oh, they were misled.
They were misled. And they've now seen the light.
Do you feel that the
So what you hear is Yoruba people making excuses for them, and so they were misled. They were misled. Which, by the way, is the way you should think if you think they're actually referring to human beings. And I think that's what they thought. And were they referring to human beings? I think they were. But should they have done that? I think they shouldn't have. Why am I saying that? Listen to the second video.
The Ibos who used to dominate commerce and industry here have not been allowed back, and the River State men, however eager to take over their jobs, have not yet acquired the necessary skills. Outside the docks, I asked some Rivers men what they thought of the Ibos.
Ibos, though we all want Nigeria, but they misbehave themselves, and we feel at the moment, at this time, they should remain in their East Central state.
You don't think there is a place for them to work down here now?
At the moment, I don't think so.
Do you think it will come in the future?
That future can tell.
But not now.
Not now.
The federal government has many times said that Ibos will live with their compatriots again in peace and prosperity. But whatever General Gowon may say about reconciliation in faraway Lagos, it's not happening here in the Rivers State. This is Igrita, where these Ibos have lived for centuries. During the war they fled, and local people from other tribes who remain seized the chance to occupy or destroy their homes and seize their farmland. So now these people, there may be as many as 10,000 of them, huddle in squalid refugee camps like this, outcasts in their own towns. All their petitions to the governor of the River State have gone unanswered. There's no indication that they will ever get their homes back.
How long is it that you and your people have lived here?
We have been here more than 400 years ago.
As long as that?
Over 400 years ago.
Do you have any other home at all?
We haven't got any place, no home again than here, than Ikwere here.
What do you think the local people want to do to you?
Well, the people say they want to fight us. So because we ran away when there was a booming of guns during the Civil War. See? And the army people protect them, not allow them to fight us.
So the army at the moment is keeping you and them apart?
Yeah, the army people are guiding us here.
What would happen if the army left you alone?
They said they will fight against us.
They'll try and drive you out?
Yes, sir.
One group of Igbo refugees...
If you listen to the Ikwere people tell you how they got there, he mentioned 400 years ago, right? But if you listen to the Ikwere people tell you how they got there, it's a totally different scenario, totally different context, right? And there's something you heard. When the gun started, we ran off. See, let me tell you something. This same thing happened in 93. These are people that call you cowards. Something happens, you run off. But that's not my problem. The issue is this: you run off perhaps because you know that that's not really where you're from. But that's even something totally different. Let me read something to you from the book I mentioned earlier, Ojuku's Rebellion and World Opinion by Neville Graham Douglas. You know what? Let me talk to this Frankie guy. I think you're here again, Abi. Should I talk to you? I should play you a video. Let me talk to you. Equal people were middlemen trading in slaves. There were certain people that settled among them and became part of them. Those people acculturated. They became part of them, not a separate group. The other groups that keep talking about being from the East were those who got there in the 1930s. Some of them got there earlier when Port Harcourt was being built by the British. But the idea of 400 years is a lie. If that's what you want to hear, I just told you. Because if you own a place and you've been there for 400 years, if something happens, that's your home. I read something to you from Neville Graham Douglas. On February 24, 1968, pursuant to an address delivered by a civil commissioner in the government of Biafra to the people of Port Harcourt, and to a plan for the systematic extermination of all the notable peoples of rivers and southeastern states origin. Again, southeast here is not the 5 southeastern states. Southeast at the time is some that is a state that we now call Akwa Ibom and Cross River State. On February 24, 1968, pursuant to an address delivered by a civil commissioner in the government of Biafra to the people of Port Harcourt, and to a plan for the systematic extermination of all the notable peoples of rivers and southeastern states origin in and around Port Harcourt, drawn up by some well-known Igbo professionals and businessmen. As a first step, the buildings and other properties of some 12 rivers people and one southeasterner in Port Harcourt were destroyed by mobs of Igbo demonstrators, in most cases by burning. As might be expected, mine led the rest. 2 of my buildings, one of them my residence in the city, with all their contents, including my entire law library, office equipment, a variety of documents, furniture, a motor car, and various items of personal chattels were destroyed. The reason? Every riversman or southeasterner was ipso facto a saboteur, and yet we were all supposed to be fellow Biafrans. So when the whole thing ended, you see their response, you see our response. Their response was, they are not coming back. And in case you're just joining us, welcome to the program. Let me read from Sunset in Biafra. This man is an Ikwere man. This man said they've been there for 400 years in Ikwere land. I already told you those who got there and how they got there without having to mention their name. Hopefully you got it. But let me read to you how some of the lands were possessed during the war. This is Sunset in Biafra by Leche Amadi. It says here, Flower Boy are Ijebu's Yorubas. Our history is different from yours. You never had a common identity until the British came. Yorubas had a common identity before the British came. You were a group of different small groups brought together by the British. This is not about nomenclature. It's about identity. You had no common identity before the British. And if you're looking for somebody to compare yourself with, look for other groups your mates. Don't be mentioning Jebu and Yoruba. You don't have anything you can't even understand what we're talking about because you're not as developed as you should be if you were human, but I'm not surprised. Let's read this. Again, please, I want to advise you. Let me just read because if you ask me questions like this, you will collect. Ojukwu and his top advisors, again, this is Sunset in Biafra by Leche Amadi. He is an Ikwere man. Ojukwu and his top advisors did not quite appreciate the plight of the minority groups. If they did not show it. Having proclaimed their Biafra, they ignored or underestimated the fears of the minorities. These fears were fed daily by cruel arrests and detentions. Gradually, even those of the minority groups who had lost relations and property in the north came to feel that their salvation lay in a united Nigeria. A popular saying among the less intelligent Ibos was, quote, "This is Biafra land," unquote. To them, the proclamation of independence meant the communal ownership of land, a highly prized thing in Igbo land. In my village, Ibos who had been living among us peacefully for years suddenly became aggressive and tyrannical. They would walk into private property and harvest plantains, oranges, and pawpaws, in spite of protests from the owners. This is Biafra land was all they said. A palm quarter who had hitherto been exploiting my family's farm plantation for a rental refused to pay any more rent soon after the proclamation of secession. What was more, he walked fearlessly onto my family land and cleared a considerable chunk of it for farming purposes. When I confronted him, all he said was, "This is Biafra land." I could go to court if I liked, he advised. It was unthinkable. At this time, the customary courts were corrupt and scandalously inefficient. Furthermore, they were handicapped by a racket which they could do nothing about. If a defendant felt he had no leg to stand on, all he needed to do was to ask for a transfer of the case to a magistrate court in Port Harcourt. He would then race to Port Harcourt and see the man, that's C in quotes, who handled the transfers. The application would then be buried underneath a pyramid of files. The plaintiff at the customary court end might then wait for years without getting a hearing. The customary court would tell him, and quite rightly, that they were waiting to hear from the higher court. This practice was particularly successful in land matters because while a case was hanging, a land grabber could plant crops and harvest them. In fact, it was rumored that this was a carefully worked out device to do the natives out of their land. All right, I'll read something else. This one I find to be ridiculous, but we're reading. I watched helplessly as the trespasser beat deeper and deeper into our land, planting as he went. The particular piece of land in question did not matter very much. In fact, if the man had come in the usual way to ask for it, he would have got it without any trouble. As it was deliberately carrying out an experiment, which, if successful, would have grave consequences for all landowners. The only thing to do was to put up a very bold front. With luck, the man might be frightened off. If, as often happened, he invited his tribesmen to help him, then I would just have to give up the unequal struggle. Early one morning, my brothers and I, armed with sharp knives. By the way, this same book was where is the same book where he talked about the fact that they got into their region in the 1940s. That was when they got there. And someone in the comment section was saying something like, "Oh, if what happened, people will run away. If what happens and you run away, where is it not? Are you going to go back home?" The point is that the people that are running away are people that know that they're not from there. I'm not saying people don't run away. People run away. But from time, everybody can tell exactly when this particular group got there. It's the exact same thing that happened in 1993 during Oso Abiola. That's how your people ran away. Again, running is, you should be working with Usain Bolt. Ojukwu ran away, Nnamdi Kanu ran away. Nnamdi Azikiwe ran away. Everybody's always running away. Ifeanyi ran away. But it's well. You are the bold one. Let's go on. It is well. Every other person is a coward, but you are the one who is always running away. Early one morning, my brothers and I, armed with sharp knives and cudgels, took up positions on the farm. I conspicuously parked my battered Volkswagen by the roadside. By midday, nobody had appeared. We went home. We did this for a week without anyone showing up. Eventually, the farm was overrun with wheat. I had won a victory, but I knew it was a Pyrrhic victory. I was branded a saboteur, and many damning reports about me were sent to the militia, the civil defense, and the army headquarters in Port Harcourt and Umuahia, the new rebel capital. I had never felt so trapped in my life. About this time, December 1967, my village was engaged in its annual fishing spree in Balam. Please listen to this one. Please listen to this one. You heard about Biafra land. This is Biafra land. You're about to hear something different right now. By the way, we have a video on this on YouTube. Biafra land and Biafra fish. About this time, December 1967, my village was engaged in its annual fishing spree in Balam, a series of freshwater ponds very rich in fish. The Ibos living in our midst insisted on fishing. It is Biafra fish, they said. We resisted, knowing full well the possible repercussions. We were defeated. Secessionist soldiers were posted along the path to the ponds. As the fishermen emerged, they were made to surrender their catch at gunpoint. The villagers reacted splendidly. They did not panic or fight back. They were prepared. They said to provide the soldiers with fish so long as they, the owners of the pond, did the fishing. For days, the soldiers carted off baskets of fish for nothing. In the end, their consciences stung them. They grew ashamed and relented. And so what with rice and fish stew, we kept up the spirit of Christmas in spite of the tensions of war. You think these people are going to finish fighting and tell you to come back to the land? Like we did. There are three major parts of this country outside the eastern region. The north, the south, and the western region. The south as it is now, and the western region. In the north, the Ibos were dealt with in 45, in 53, in 66. And that's why today you will not hear the kind of disrespect that you hear in Yoruba land in the north. You will not hear it. Anambra finest, I beg you in the name of God. Just because I don't curse you out like your people curse people out does not mean that you get to write this nonsense in my comment section. I'm begging you, please. You can't be this stupid. The person telling you that this is Biafra land, you are saying the soldiers. Do you guys have a meeting where you discuss stupidity? Like, do you share it like a family heirloom? Like, what is this? It's not Biafra, it's soldier. It's not soldier, it's somebody else. Were you taught not to ever take responsibility in your life? Is that a cultural thing where you're from? The point is this. The one who did it and the ones who didn't do it, the ones who, like this one that I will say, oh, it's not like that. Oh, they are the ones who make excuses for the ones who did it. But this is what I was saying. I was going to finish what I was saying. In 45, 53, 66, the North dealt with the Ibos. Therefore, if you notice in the North right now, nobody dares misbehave. Especially the Ibos. And the Ibos are known for misbehaving. Somebody says, what do I mean? I'm going to find a book. I was supposed to be reading the news, but this is important. It's important because I am just trying to warn people. Not because I know there's a problem coming up, but I can tell. If you read this reach a particular point, my brothers and sisters, you begin to have the capacity to predict certain things. The more things change, the more they remain the same. Frankie Feck says, always a book. It's not for me to carry books, not to carry guns. What we know your people for please. We'll carry books to teach you wisdom. You carry guns to show stupidity. Who do you think is... Because this thing you're doing, you have done it before. I'm going to read what happened in the North. If you think this is about some girl trying to do art exhibition, if you think that's what it's about, it's not about. That's not what it is. I'm going to read to you from a book, this book called Beckon to Serve. So I read Ojuku's Rebellion and World Opinion by Nebo Graham Douglas, who was the Attorney General of Eastern Region, was a Rivers man. They dealt with that man. Another day we'll talk about the book. We'll talk about those things in that book. I also read Sunset in Biafra by Lechi Amadi. He's an Ikwere man from present-day Rivers State. These are people whose stories nobody wants you to hear. And right now, even on YouTube, I have a person cursing me out right now. But again, you were not raised with sense. I'm not sure your parents were able to pass it on to you, but so continue. Where was I? Cursing me out as if I collected the wisdom your father was supposed to give. Actually, he didn't have any to give you, clearly. Where was I? So I've read that one. These are stories that people don't want to be heard. They don't want you to read any book. They don't want you to know anything. But we're going to read those things. Is it to demonize a group? No. It's actually to warn that group. To demonize a group is the low vibrational kind of thing. It's low energy. I'm reading this to warn people. Because the way you're moving. This is Beckon to Serve by Shehu Shagari. It says here, Ironsi's task was not helped by the behavior of Igbo residents in the north. Since his assuming power, many of them had been loudly proclaiming the regime to be theirs. In other words, they said it was Igbo coup. They said it. The Ibos. Since assuming power, many of them had been loudly proclaiming the regime to be theirs, and even making a virtue of the January coup killings. This attitude quickly spread from offices and public institutions to places like motor terminals and markets. Some Igbo shopkeepers even took to displaying large-size photographs which depicted Major Nzogu standing beside the body of the slain Sir Hamadu Bello, the former Northern Premier. Igbo people would draw the attention of Northerners to the photographs and say of Nzogu, Shinemaganinku. In Hausa, he is the one who can knock sense into you. Some Igbo also took to public playing of a gramophone record called Machine Gun, whose celebratory lyrics of the January killings were interspersed with the sound of gunshots. Such unwarranted provocations naturally exacerbated the unease between Northerners and the Igbo. The pulse of Northern grassroots disquiet was reflected in the vernacular press. On 28 March 1966, Gaskia Tafikwabo ran a trenchant editorial calling for the insolent behavior of the Igbo residing in the north to be curbed. That was in March. So when you read of what happened in May, please understand, as much as the north is not perfect, as much as there's so many things they have done wrong, and there are things that we can remember, that there is no smoke without fire. And if you say, oh, but Shehu Shagari speaking here, he's a Hausa man. Well, this same thing is also reported in the book by Nnamdi Azikiwe. The book is called The Origins of the Civil War. Azikiwe is not from the north. This same thing, you will find it in the book by Godwin Alabi Sama, The Tragedy of Victory, where I talked about what the Hausa officer, Abubakar, relayed to the people. As I'm reading this now, look in the comment section. You see people insulting me, or people saying things like it's propaganda. You are a goat. Don't stop. And is that the one that called himself a bishop? If fools were bishop, if fools were Christian, you'd be the bishop. So I feel sorry for the people who are following you, because they must be non-thinking humans. Well, I'm a Christian, we're not fools. The point I'm trying to make is this. There's a pattern. It happened in the north. It happened in the east. By the way, let me say it this way. You see, in 66, there were 4 regions: north, east, west, midwest. You misbehaved in the north, they dealt with you. You misbehaved in the east, they dealt with you. You misbehaved in the midwest, Nigeria dealt with you. You are misbehaving in the west. Do you not think that, based on the fact that people will push back and punish you, do you not know that it's going to happen? Somebody say define misbehave. Ask people that went to school in your region. From what you just heard me read right now, that doesn't sound to you like misbehavior. Let me say something, and this is to Yoruba people. If you see in the comment section right now, you hear people say things like, you guys say you're educated, so this video has defined the whole tribe. No. You know what defined the whole tribe? The inability of your people to actually correct wrong behavior. That's what defines your people. It's not the actions. A person can misbehave. People can do anything. But the question is this, how many times do you actually see people from your place actually speaking up and say, will they go beyond boundary? You don't. Why? You don't have that mindset. You're not taught. You're not properly raised. And if you noticed, for those who are Yoruba and other Nigerians, if you noticed, not once have these clowns in the comment section said one thing about what was done or what was said. All they're doing is speaking against the person who is speaking against what was said. These are people that you're going to ask about, what do you call it, IPOB. People will tell you that it is not a terrorist organization. You cannot take responsibility. But if you speak against it, then you are the one who is wrong. But the matter where you the disco logo, no. You must not mention that thing. And you think you can have a home that is peaceful. It's not possible. Your home will always be in disarray. Why? Nobody's going to take responsibility for anything. Take a listen to this one before we go on to something else.
To the last, with the last blood. The better you people rise, stop this here nonsense. Ibos who live in Lagos, open your eyes. Don't sleep with your two eyes. And when somebody push you, push back. You people should come together now. When they are shouting, Ibos must go. Plan how you defend yourself. Plan how you defend your property. Plan how you throw them inside lagoon. First of all, when he started, go straight over, throw him inside the lagoon. Burn down Lagos. If they started this nonsense. What is wrong with you? See me see trouble. We came to Lagos to build Lagos. Lagos is full of water.
All right. So that one sounds like a tout. Although he's supposed to be somebody's father. But there's another person who actually sounded a bit more educated. And I'd like you to take a listen to this so-called educated man.
There's a structure in place to deny Igbo presidency. It's not possible because Igbos are too good for Nigerians.
So what is your advice for Igbo politicians that are clamoring to be the president of Nigeria?
To go back to their constituencies and develop it first, because you're dealing with people who don't really understand the meaning of democracy and development. Nigerians lack development, so Igbos are far too ahead. Igbos are far too ahead, too advanced for whatever Nigeria is, which is a complete geographical expression. That's all.
Yeah, Ibos are far too ahead of Nigeria, and you wonder why nobody's doing anything today. Today is Monday, Abi. Today is Monday. It's amazing. It's Monday. Thank God it's Monday. Thank God it's Monday. It's Monday. Oh. You're far ahead. You'd expect that you would go there, you'll be seeing skyscrapers everywhere because they are way too advanced. Like, you're right, Okanoni, they're way too advanced to work on Monday.